Thanks for joining us. Steffi will be hosting, and we will be having about 3 topics and a panelist. So please stick around and hope you learned something from today's sharing. All right, thank you very much. Hand over back to Steffi.
So I would like to bring in Joshua Choo, our JCU alumni, to introduce. He's currently a financial service consultant at Choo organization, and he'll be speaking about income, spendings, and savings. So Joshua Choo, please feel free to bring in the topic. I'll pass the mic to you.
Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. So just a short introduction of myself. My name is Joshua and I'm from Choo organization. So actually in our organization, right, we deal with family and kids, but we also do have different segment programs for everyone lah. So actually today JCU alumni actually invited me to share with you a bit on finance, mostly on income spending and how to have the financial security in your life. Yeah. So I will just go ahead and start. Actually, I've prepared some visuals on my end to help you guys understand better on what I'm going to explain later. Yeah.
Yep, we can share. We can see your screen.
Okay, then I'll go ahead then. Okay, so today I'll be sharing on adulting, basically on finance. So we'll be discussing about money problems, my first paycheck, my chocolate, present, chicken or egg, and mindset. So some of these things, right, you see on the screen, you won't know what it meant, but it's going to be very interesting. So I'm going to share you later. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is this concept, right, that can you be poor even when you're rich? So have you guys experienced sometimes that when you receive a big bonus or paycheck or a big allowance from your parents, you feel very rich at the start of the day, but at the end of the month, right, you always feel that, how come my bank account, right, there's only 2 digits left? So basically you have experienced this thing called, can you be poor even when you're rich? So actually I have a very good example to help you understand how this came about. So actually, let me introduce Mozart. Mozart is a very famous musician and composer in Austria during the 70s. 17,000s, yeah, correct. So actually, what happened was when laymen were taking home 25 florins a year, right, the upper class made 500, but Mozart was bringing a hefty 10,000 florins home. But what happened is that he spent lots of it. He spent it on his travel costs, high society friends, his son's education, and lavish lifestyle. To the point that he even had to take on side gigs, right, to keep his lifestyle and expenses. So what really hit him was during a time, right, when Austria was suddenly have this ongoing war. The people's music taste changes, so it actually affects his income a bit. Not only that, right, his wife suddenly gotten ill. From then on, right, he still refuses to cut his family's expenses. So he keeps spending and spending. So he didn't look into his lifestyle expenses, meaning to say, right, he still spent the same amount as he did before his wife got sick, and also before the music taste of the public changes. So basically, it affects his money expenditure and his lifestyle a lot. So basically, right, every time when we think about spending, we have to keep track of our expenses, especially when we have more money or more income for that month. So you have to watch out this thing called lifestyle inflation, where you don't want to spend more money when you're earning more. So what you need to do is to maintain a healthy level of spending when you're receiving a bigger paycheck, so that you can save the money that you earn from working so hard, right, and build more wealth for yourself, and safeguard against rainy days, like Mozart wife having that illness. So that is like saving guard for rainy days and bumps lah, basically. Yeah, so how to really look into our lifestyle expenses and really keep track of it, right, is that when you receive your first paycheck or your your allowance, right, there's 5 things you need to do lah. Because actually, right, all the while, it's an ongoing struggle for everyone that receives their monthly paycheck and their monthly allowance. It's an ongoing struggle for them to think about what they need to do with the money instead of just putting in a bank. Yeah. So what you need to do, right, when you have the first paycheck or your allowance, you need to budget your expenses and also start building up your emergency funds. So later I'll cover more on emergency funds and budgeting. So that's the first step, okay? Then on the second step, right, let's say if you have debts, if you have maybe student loan or home loan, you should try to consider to clear your debts and your loans first as soon as possible. And at the same time, try to set aside some funds. Okay, you don't, so what happens is you don't need to put all your salary and all your allowance just to prioritize your debts. What I meant is just that you set aside some funds from your paycheck and your allowance, right? So that you can prioritize clearing that off first. Yeah. So to those who don't have any debts, right, you're considered very lucky. So what you need to do is consider your options when you're growing your money. So you want to put it in a place that really gives you some additional returns. Yeah. Thirdly, right, you want to have umbrellas to protect you from any rainy days or career bumps. Because your ability to work, right, is your biggest asset. So you need to protect yourself in order to protect your wallet. Fourth, once you set all this foundation for your financial security, right, you should think about start investing so that you can grow your money even more. So there's this thing that you need to start investing, right, when it's when you have the ability lah. So investment comes with risk. So you really need to know your risk. Not only that, you also need to know your goals. So once you know your risk appetite and your goal, right, you'll come very easily. Yeah. So lastly, right, is think about your big ticket expenses. So before you decide to spend lavishly, always think about your essentials. Think about what you need instead of what you want. So let's move on to budgeting. So budgeting is what I mentioned earlier. Is the first step when you get your paycheck or your allowance. So it's very important because you need to really keep track of your expenses so that you'll know how much you spend a day, and then you can put that aside, and then the remaining you can use it to put it into a savings. So what you need to do, you can follow this 50-30-20 budgeting rule. Okay, so what happens on the 50% is the things that we need to survive. For example, our housing bills, our groceries, our utility, our transportations, and insurance. While the 30% is considered the fun bucket, where you talk about entertainment, shopping, dining out, and your hobbies are basically your lifestyle. 20%, right? You should put aside 20% for your financial goals. Yeah. Okay. So remember just now I talked about budgeting, and there's budgeting and emergency funds. So emergency funds, right, actually help you prepare yourself for any last minute events in your life. So basically, right, as a rule of thumb, everyone should save up at least 6 months worth of living expenses in their bank account before they think about want to do extra riskier investment or riskier saving tools. So how does that work? Let's say if I were to combine this emergency fund and budgeting together, right? So for example, as you can see, the bottom right, this lady called Lisa, she's taking home 2004 every month. So she actually very good. What she did is she segregate her paycheck into 3 columns, the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. So 50%, right? By right, 50% of 2004 is 1,002, 20% is 720, 20% is 480. So what happened, right? After listing out all her expenses, she realized she only used 1,000. So the remaining 200, right, from this 1,002, she shifted here for her emergency funds. So it's the same thing for once, right? She realized she only used 500. And for savings, she only saved 400. So the 80, right, she put all of it into her emergency funds. So at the same time, right, for a year, she would have saved up enough emergency funds, and she has very clear and healthy budget. So the question is, what happens if you are not like Lisa? You use 1,002 for your needs, fully, 1,002 fully for your needs. So what happened is, I would suggest that for your savings, right, from your savings, the 200, right, out of this 280, you can put it in your emergency funds. Then at the same time for the year, you can start slowly building up your emergency funds. So of course, when we talk about savings, right, you want to consider savings and investment. You want to consider your money is growing at a healthy rate lah. Basically, what I mean is that the tools you save, right, the tools you put in, the interest rate has to go way more than the Singapore's inflation. Okay, because Singapore's inflation is 2% to 2.3% on average. So what you have in the bank, right, is lesser than that. Okay, so you need to consider tools that really gives you that edge when you are saving. If not, right, you are actually saving to lose your money in the future. So there's this thing called compound interest, which I want to share with you guys. Compound interest is the 8 wonders of the world in finance world. It's the 8 wonder in the finance world. Yeah. So what is compound interest? Basically, right, it's interest building on interest. Yeah. So I have a graph here that illustrates the importance of starting early and the strengths of compound interest. So let's say Peter, Paul, and Mary. Okay. So Mary, right, actually started saving when she was 25. So how does compound interest work for her? So as you can see on the blue line, right, on the blue curve, mean to say compound interest, right, grows with time. So as you start saving and you are saving in a tool that stretches out in time, right, you can look at the interest you will be getting from is this much, okay? Compared to Peter, right, is lesser. So as you start later, right, and you have lesser time to save, compound interest doesn't really work in your favor, because compound interest, the strength of compound interest is towards the back end of the years that you save up. Okay, it's the same for Paul. So actually Paul started even later, 35 years old, when he only decided to start. So when he start, right, this is the amount of interest that he will be enjoying. So as you can see, right, when you are saving, time follows you. But when you're investing, it's a different concept, because when you're investing, right, it's all about time in the market, not timing the market. Yeah. So I urge everyone to consider this concept of compound interest and really leveraging it. By starting early, you can save up maybe $100. You'll probably reach the same goal as Paul and Mary, or even more, because of compound interest. So let's talk about your safety net. Your safety net means to say things that will protect you in unfortunate events. So there's this thing called My Chocolate. Basically, it's something that I want to introduce you to help you understand what insurance is. Yeah, so actually, right, insurance is just like chocolate. So let's say if I ask you today, if the chocolate were to drop on the floor, will you still want to eat it? So if the chocolate is without a wrapper, right, most likely we won't be wanting to eat it unless you're different or interesting that you want to eat it even though it's on the floor. So most of the time, right, the norm is that when the chocolate hits the floor, right, because there's germs and it's not fresh anymore. But what if the chocolate is being wrapped? If it dropped to the floor, right, people will still will want to eat it lah, because the wrapper is protecting the chocolate. So it's still fresh. It's still how to say, clean per se. So this chocolate, right, is like your life. So you need to have the chocolate wrapper to protect your life. The wrapper is the insurance. So you need to protect your life from any unfortunate events. So from today, right, you can consider to get your chocolate wrapped nicely, and then don't let unfortunate events set your goals back, because your life is rich and meaningful, and we don't want all these things to set our goals back. Yeah, so let's talk about investing. So there's this thing called chicken or egg. So it's a very cool concept to help people understand why they want to save, or what thing is suitable for them to save or invest. So basically, right, how this chicken and egg story come into your life is as if today, right, you're working so hard, then all this money you take, right, you save from working, right, you want to put it in a bank, you want to put it in a safe place. So all this money, right, can be described as your eggs. So these eggs are very precious to you. But sometimes, right, these eggs, right, some people will want to grow it to be a chicken, a premium chicken. So once the chicken is very big, very premium, they want to sell it off and get big returns from the chicken. Some others would think differently. They want the egg, right, to grow into a chicken, so that the chicken, right, could lay them eggs every now and then in their lives. So it really depends on your goals as well. So let's say today I have a 3-year goal that I want to buy a house in 3 years. So do I need a chicken, or do I need a chicken that lays egg for me? So it really depends on what is your goals and where are you coming from. So let's talk about mindset. So a lot of time, right, without the mindset, without a goal for us to focus in, right, it actually leads us astray, and then make us inconsistent in our behaviors and our lifestyle. So mindset is very important. So basically what you want to do is that you want to start saving now, so you can afford, or investing so you can afford any price in the future. So basically, right, what I want to um, share with you is this thing called mindset, where everyone need to have a clear mindset of their financial goal and how they can be consistent, stay consistent, so that they can reach their financial goal no matter what happens. Yeah. So actually, right, how you can practice this mindset is that you can start. Okay, so actually there's this mindfulness exercise, right? I want to engage with everyone. You can try to do it with me. So you can just hear what I say, and then start imagining what your goal would be like. Okay, so maybe you guys can try to close your eyes. For those who don't want, it's perfectly fine. You just have to start imagining this lah. Okay, so let's plan for 2036. Okay, which is 16 years from now. Okay, so 16 years from now, try to imagine, will you still be under the same roof? Is the roof still the same? Feel the living and non-living things. Okay, then after that, it seems that you are going somewhere. Most probably you're going to work. What attire are you wearing? Are you wearing a suit? Are you wearing casual wear? Are you wearing a lab coat? Where are you driving to? Are you driving in a car? Are you sitting in the back of the car? I mean back of the seat? Are you taking the public transport? Where are you now? Are you in your office? Is this the same office as 16 years ago? Are you having the same job? So right, basically what you want to do is you want to visualize in 16 years, right? Are you still in the same environment? Okay, in 16 years, if 16 years is too much for you to plan for, why not let's halve 16 years? Let's halve it into 8 years. 8 years is still very far for most people. So let's halve it again to 4 years. 4 years, can you start planning for your 4-year goal? If you can't, right, let's halve it again to a 2-year. So can you at least start planning for your 2-year goal now? So what is your 2-year goal? Do you want to stay in the same roof after the 2 years? Or do you want a different place for yourself? Do you want to stay in the same area that gives you this amount of money to take home, or you want to stay in a different job that has a different job description. So what you want to do today, right, this year, this month, actually affects your 2-year goal, your 4-year goal, your 6-year goal, and your 8-year goal. So basically, this is mindset. You need to be very clear on what your goal is and what you want for yourself. Because your goal, right, doesn't deserve your partial attention. Your goal deserves your full attention so that you can really make sure that you reach your financial goal consistently. And lastly, I want to talk about how this pandemic has changed financial planning for everyone. So basically, right, during this pandemic, a lot of people, right, during this pandemic is either forced to retire or forced to change their job. Okay, so basically what happened is from then on, right, people start to realize that, oh, they might not have enough because they are forced to retire. So what a lot of people fail to do is that they only think about what they have now or what they need now instead of what they will need in maybe if they are retired or maybe they can no longer work. So it actually changed financial planning for everyone in the sense that people start to have the urgency to want to sit down with someone professional to talk about their finance, or even really sit down and look into their finance and how they should plan for the next step in their life. So you have to consider, let's say today you learn about all these things, right? And then there's this urgency that if you don't solve this, if you don't address this problem, you have to ask yourself, what will this cost you this year? Okay, and you have to ask yourself, look bright into the future. If you were to address this problem today and apply what you learn, right, how will your life be in the next 3 to 5 years? Yeah, so thank you guys. You can always try to follow me on Instagram to get more contents like this. Thank you.